So, how's everybody doing tonight? Almost the end of Monday. Earlier today, I made my play-ins and Eastern Conference playoffs prediction. So, if you guys missed that, watch that later once you get the chance. Right now, I'm gonna go to my Western Conference NBA 2022 playoff editions, my predictions for the seedings, who's gonna win. Also, yesterday, I also posted a video going live on my NBA award predictions and all NBA as well. So definitely check that out. And I know I'll be pretty accurate, not fully accurate, but I'll be accurate on the most part. If you guys are new to my channel, hit the subscribe button. If you want to learn more about NBA history, I have one of the best NBA knowledges in the world. There's no doubt about that. So, Western Conference, let's get started. The play-in games, how about that to start? It's not really going to matter anyway, especially New Orleans or San Antonio, but Minnesota and Los Angeles Clippers, a 7 and 8 matchup. That's going to be very interesting. If you guys watched my previous video, I have the Los Angeles Clippers beating the Timberwolves. And yes, I believe in Paul George and Reggie Jackson and all those guys, Marcus Morris, the experience, savviness, and the great coaching of Ty Lue. The Clippers seem to be clicking on all cylinders when it matters in the most important games. Look at how they beat Utah last season. They have one of the most underrated bench. I mean, Terrence Mann, Luke Kennard, Amir Coffey, Robert Covington, and Norman Powell coming back. I just think because of their shot making and three-point abilities that they're going to be way more ready than Minnesota, and Minnesota's not going to know what hit them. So I like my chances on the Clippers winning that and going ahead to avoid playing the Phoenix Suns. And I also got the Minnesota Timberwolves, who I think they're going to lose to the Clippers. They're going to play New Orleans because San Antonio, a 34-win team, they have no business being in the play-in. I mean, CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram, they're so much better than the Spurs anyway. It's not even going to be close. But onto the 1 versus 8 matchup, the Phoenix Suns, franchise best, 64 wins, the most consistent, most unselfish team in the NBA. I believe they're going to go up against the Timberwolves. But in a scenario, if they go up against the Clippers, I do think the Clippers will be the toughest matchup for the Suns out of the Timberwolves or New Orleans or San Antonio. New Orleans, San Antonio, they're not really going to play Phoenix. If they are, that would be absolutely shocking. But if the Suns play the Timberwolves, it'll be a face-off between the 2015 draft class, the number 1 and number 2 pick, Karl-Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell against the 13th pick in Devin Booker. I bet you guys forgot about the third pick already, so he's no longer in the NBA. But the Suns, the lineup, CP3, D Book, best backcourt in the NBA, 3-and-D specialist, defensive player of the year candidate, Mikal Bridges, the physical, gritty Jay Crowder against the number 1 pick, DeAndre Ayton at the 5, and against the Timberwolves, who Patrick Beverley, D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, Jared Vanderbilt, and Karl-Anthony Towns at the 5. Phoenix bench, you have Cam Payne, Cam Johnson, JaVale McGee, Torrey Craig provided some spark, Landry Shamet, Aaron Holiday, and Bismack Biyombo if he's going to get playing time, which I doubt. Timberwolves, Malik Beasley, who's been pretty streaky, Nas Reed, a pretty good role player, Jaden McDaniel, and Taurean Prince. I have the Suns beating the Timberwolves pretty convincingly. There's no doubt about that. Karl-Anthony Towns is going to have his hands full. He's going to have to go up against the bigger DeAndre Ayton, who Ayton's also a force, like down low too. He can get his points, and Cat's going to have to play defense. And I just think the Suns, they have too many weapons. They have too much of an arsenal. Cat's going to have to average 35 points in the series to win. I just don't see him doing that. And Karl Towns is actually not that great of a defender. He'll have trouble rotating out the perimeter. Phoenix is going to have their ball movement all over the place. I just think the Suns, with Devin Booker being a good closer and being a better player than D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards as well. Like, Minnesota don't have really much playoff experience. The last time Karl-Anthony Towns was in the playoffs 4 years ago, he wasn't really that good. I mean, Karl-Anthony Towns got pretty locked up by the Houston Rockets. His game wasn't suited, but I do think Towns will be a lot better this playoffs. Last time D'Angelo Russell went to the playoffs was 2019 with the Nets, and he wasn't that good against the Sixers, so he's a pretty streaky guy. Minnesota, a terrific season. I just don't see them beating the Suns. I could see them maybe take one game, maybe a Karl Anthony Towns 40-point masterpiece, and Anthony Edwards going to be hot, but I eventually see Phoenix beating Minnesota without any problems in 5 games. So the Phoenix Suns, no sweat in the first round. I have that. But if Phoenix plays the Clippers, I mean, the Clippers and the Suns are 2-2 on the season. And in any way, the Clippers, if they lose to the Timberwolves in the play-in, but they beat the winner of New Orleans or San Antonio, I see the Suns having a more competitive series against the Clippers matchup because T. Lue, he knows how to make adjustments. Every time the Clippers last season, when they were down 0-2, they always have a response to win the next few games because Ty Lue's just a brilliant coach. He has the experience. He's been under the most pressure out of any coach dealing with adversity and the 2-0 comebacks and the 3-1 comeback in the finals. So I do believe T. Lue figures out a way to try to get his players to maybe even steal 2 games from the Phoenix Suns, as crazy as that sounds. Even without Kawhi Leonard, think about without Kawhi Leonard last season. I mean, they still took the Phoenix Suns in the conference finals to 6 games. Granted, there was no CP3 because of COVID protocols. CP3 missed the first 2 games, and it was a very close 2 games. And Paul George played exceptionally well the first 2 games, I believe. And DeAndre Ayton had a buzzer beater in game 2 that propelled Phoenix to win. That was a 1-point win, I believe, by the Suns. So they only won by a point in game 2. Last playoffs, last Western Conference Finals, it was pretty exciting and more competitive than people think. But no Kawhi. The Clippers have 5 straight wins to end the season. Reggie Jackson, PG, Morris, Batum, and Zubac. That's a pretty good starting 5. But off the bench, you have Terrence Mann, Luke Kennard, Powell, Hortenstein, and Robert Covington, Amir Coffey. So Phoenix Suns, like, they're going to have their hands more full against this Clipper team because a guy like Reggie Jackson, he has all the confidence right now at the point guard spot. And believe it or not, I trust Reggie Jackson more in the playoffs as my starting point guard over D'Angelo Russell. D'Lo's been too inconsistent, and Reggie just has everything clicking under Ty Lue. Ty Lue has confidence in him. I do think the Clippers can win a game or even 2 against the Phoenix Suns. They have a lot of chemistry as well. But without Kawhi Leonard and Phoenix being a little better than last season, and Devin Booker also struggling in certain games against the Clippers last season as well. And CP3 also didn't look that great after he came back from COVID at certain stretches. I have the Phoenix Suns also beating the Clippers in 5 games. I do think the Clippers can win 1. It doesn't seem like Kawhi Leonard's coming back anyway. So there I have it. The Phoenix Suns, they're gonna beat the Clippers or the Timberwolves or whoever they got to play in the first round. Certainly, we don't want to see New Orleans or San Antonio in the playoffs because why would we? They don't deserve to make it 30-plus wins, 30-something wins. They can't even go 500. I mean, it's not fair to all the other teams that are a lot better. They shouldn't be in the play-in. And with that said, if somehow the New Orleans Pelicans or San Antonio Spurs win 2 games in the play-in and make the playoffs, the Suns are absolutely sweeping them, probably by double digits each and every one of those games. Like, that's not even talked about. That's not even worth mentioning for the time. So next, the 2 seed Memphis Grizzlies and the 7 seed, I do believe it's gonna be the Los Angeles Clippers or either the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're gonna play one of those 2 teams. And I do think it's gonna be the Clippers that they play. So Memphis, the lineup of John Moran, who's a superstar right now, one of the most exciting players in the game at 22 years old. Dylan Brooks, who's feisty on defense and 18-point-a-game scorer. Desmond Bane, one of the best second-year players in the league, or he's been sensational too, 18 points a game, and one of the most underrated three-point shooters. Jared Jackson Jr. finally able to stay healthy, play 1 full season, 78 games. He's shown his versatility on defense, the best NBA shot blocker, and big physical, big boy Steven Adams. You don't want to mess with Steven Adams, one of the most likable players and probably the best role player in the NBA in terms of knowing his responsibilities and being super unselfish. He doesn't care about stats. All he does is set hard screens. He crashes the glass. He's a big body, physical. He's someone the other team does not want to mess with. So we have Steven Adams, one of the best teammates. And off the bench, you have DeAnthony Melton, who he went off for 25 at certain nights. Zaire Williams, Kyle Slow-Mo Anderson, Brandon Clark, and Tyus Jones. Those guys would play in a scenario if they play the Clippers. I mean, the Memphis Grizzlies, they swept the Clippers in the regular season, and 3 of those 4 wins were by double digits. They play a collaborative effort, a young, exciting, fun team. How about that 73-point win over OKC this season? Absolutely demolished them. And Memphis being a 56-win team, their over-under before the season was 41.5 games. They have by far surpassed that. It kind of reminds me of the 2011 Bulls when everybody was clicking on all cylinders and a new addition. It's pretty sweet. How about a 55-point quarter against New Orleans? And without John Morant, they will almost win all their games. I mean, the record is insane. Are they like 21-5 or something like that without their superstar player? So they can win games and everybody can get hot and totally dominate. They kind of remind me also of like a young Thunder team when they had 22-year-old, 21-year-old Kevin Durant and Westbrook. When those guys were on the rise, they were absolutely fearless. I don't think Ja will be as good as like young KD, but he's definitely going to be better than Westbrook in my opinion. And I can see Memphis already elevating and perhaps make a finals. Not this season. I don't think they're that good yet, but certainly in the future, I can see that. So they have a combination of the right veterans. They have strong toughness. So Desmond Bane and Steven Adams. Tyler Jenkins, he has a really weird coaching style. You don't know if that's going to work in the playoffs. And he plays around like 7 or 8, 9 guys deep. And John Morant's the only guy on that team that averages over 30 minutes a game. So everybody's playing less than 30 minutes besides John Morant. Desmond Bane's playing like 29 minutes. Steven Adams maybe like 26 minutes. And Kyle Anderson, 20 minutes a game. Even Jared Jackson, he's playing 26 minutes a game or something like that. And he still leads the NBA in shot blocking. So Memphis has a weird rotation. In the playoffs, the best players obviously play more minutes. I mean, if you need a win, I mean, you need guys that will get you buckets and guys that can play lockdown D and knock down big-time shots. So in the postseason, I see Desmond Bane's playing like 34, 36 minutes a game. Morant's going to probably be playing 38, and Dylan Brooks definitely in the 30s as well. Steven Adams probably in the high 20s. He might not play in fourth quarter crunch time stretches. Jared Jackson needs to play. He's an unbelievable defender with his length and size. And if Memphis, if they're going to play the Clippers, which is definitely a scenario if the Clippers win the play-in game over Minnesota, I see Memphis beating the Clippers in 6 games because LAC, they have a lot of depth. Memphis matches them with the depth. And right now, at this very moment, I do think that John Morant is a better basketball player than Paul George at this moment right now. PG, 32 years old, came back from the injury. He could have sat it out all season long, but PG's a true competitor, and after the bubble disaster, he was pretty good last playoffs and really showed out. So more respect to Paul George for facing his demons and really stepping up last playoffs, leading the Clippers to the conference finals. And also the additions of Norman Powell and Robert Covington, it will be a closer series for sure. The Clippers, I do think that the Clippers can take Memphis to 6 games, and it could be a very close series because both teams have about 8, 9, or 10 guys that can play critical minutes. There's going to be guys to step up. Is Desmond Bane going to really light it up? Is he going to outplay Reggie Jackson? Is Marcus Morris going to score his 20 points at certain nights? Can Luke Kennard for the Clippers be an X factor? Can Robert Covington, can he do anything to slow down John Morant? I just think the Memphis Grizzlies chemistry is so much better. The Clippers, obviously, with PG's injuries, I mean, there's a lot of figuring out to do, but I do see it being a very close series. And I have Memphis beating the Clippers, a very close 6-game series in Game 6, very close one. Even the Clippers, without Kawhi Leonard, they're still a very dangerous team. But Memphis, they've just been playing so hot with so much confidence. And then this is the year to really show out, and the playoffs going to be an absolute true test. They've been to the playoffs last season too, and they were able to win the game. And if the Memphis Grizzlies, I mean, this team also beats the Minnesota Timberwolves. If the T-Wolves beat the Clippers, they're gonna play Memphis. Memphis, way too much chemistry. So Jared Jackson also can match up with Karl Anthony Towns. He's got the size and speed. He's got the speed and the perimeter guarding skills to actually slow down Cat. Cat loves to shoot a lot of threes, but can Karl Anthony Towns really carry his team and win a couple games against Jared Jackson? And if he goes down low, he's got to deal with big body Steven Adams. And I just think the Adams and Jackson addition front line is just too physical for Minnesota. I don't see Karl Towns dominating against those two. And especially with John Moran, he's a better basketball player than D'Angelo Russell right now. I think Anthony Edwards going to have his on and off streaks. I just don't see Minnesota doing very much to stop Memphis or containing Memphis. I see Memphis just beating the crap out of the Timberwolves. Like, too much chemistry. And what's Patrick Beverley going to do? Remember, and Patrick Beverley, if he's got to try to act tough to Memphis or try to do something cheap to maybe elbow or put his shoulder out on John Moran, that ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen. Because Patrick Beverley, he could try to act tough all he wants, but last time, remember when Patrick Beverley played against Steven Adams in the playoffs, Big Boy Adams, who's super physical, set a pick. It was game one. I believe it was game one, 2017. OKC Houston, Steven Adams set a pick, and Patrick Beverley went down sleeping heavily. So Patrick Beverley literally got laid the hell out. He got laid out, unconscious for like literally 10 seconds. Like, it was so insane that moment. Like, Steven Adams set that screen on Beverley, and Pat Bev, like, there was like flashes like going to him like, oh, I just woke up, because Patrick Beverley got laid out by Steven Adams' screen. He couldn't see it coming. So if Pat Bev tries to start anything slick, just to know Steven Adams is there, Steven Adams ain't gonna allow that. He'll just pick him up and just walk him down and just send him packing. So Steven Adams, you don't want to mess with him. Patrick Beverley knows better. So he's not going to try to do anything slick. So if he tries to frustrate Memphis, Steven Adams going to be like, nah, you ain't messing with my team. And Pat Bev's just going to be shook. That's just the truth. That's just the truth right there. Memphis Grizzlies, I am very confident that they're going to win a first round series. I don't think it's going to be a fluke that they won 56 games. Now on to the 3 vs. 6 matchup. The 3 vs. 6, the Denver Nuggets with superstar Nikola Jokic, MVP frontrunner, in my opinion, the MVP, against the Golden State Warriors on Game 1 Saturday. The Warriors, Steph Curry with a foot injury that he hurt against the Celtics, still questionable. It doesn't seem like he's going to play Game 1. The reports don't look good. Golden State did not practice today. They're going to see how Curry's feeling tomorrow. There should be more news and more updates, but it's clear that Steph is clearly not 100% right now. But Golden State lineup, if Curry does play, somehow he might miss the first 2 or 3 games. But if the series gets close and Golden State's able to win a couple games, let's say it's 2-2, and Curry's able to play, I do think Golden State's going to do everything they can to get him back, because Denver's not a team to sleep on. Obviously, even without their second and third best players. Golden State, if they have everybody healthy, it'll be Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, and Kevon Looney. And off the bench, you got Jordan Poole, who's been one of the most improved players this season. Iguodala can still get it done in certain times in the postseason. And Otto Porter Jr., Gary Payton II, and Kuminga. Those guys are pretty good. That's a pretty good team right there, but they just haven't been healthy all year long. It's pretty unfortunate. Like Golden State, they are a little older than their title years, but the Denver Nuggets, a big blow, because Jamal Murray and Michael Porter both unlikely to come back. That's an absolutely devastating loss, and it's kind of like a prime Jokic season kind of wasted. Like, Jokic has been doing everything for this team so far. The lineups of Monte Morris, Will Barton, who's been on and off. You can't predict what's going to happen. 35-year-old Uncle Jeff Green, Aaron Gordon, and Jokic. That starting 5 is nowhere near as good as Golden State starting 5. And then off the bench, you got the inconsistent Austin Rivers, rookie Bones Highland, JaMychal Green, Devon Reed, not washed up, an older DeMarcus Cousins, and Campazzo, Frank Cheap Shot Campazzo. That team's not very good. You take Nikola Jokic off that team right now, that team will lose to the Pistons, and probably they might even lose to the Magic in a playoff series if this Denver Nuggets team does not have Jokic. Jokic has to be absolutely sensational and play his butt off to beat Golden State. But if there was no Steph Curry for the whole series, I would say the Denver Nuggets will win in 6 games without Curry. That is because Golden State doesn't have the size without James Wiseman. I don't think Kevin Looney is good enough to guard Jokic. I don't think Draymond Green's good enough to guard Jokic. Jokic's gonna destroy Draymond, to be honest. So, and also the Denver Nuggets won a couple games this season against Golden State when Jokic he swung the pass right to Monte Morris for that game-winning shot. After that comeback, that was a sick game. But Golden State didn't have like all their best players in, I believe. So Jokic can absolutely get a couple wins on the Warriors. And it's just a really tough position for the future two-time MVP to be, missing his second and third best player and still able to win 48 games on the Western Conference with a lot of good competition. Jokic, a triple-double machine. He's a sensational big man who can do it all offensively from an efficiency standpoint. But Jokic might have to shoot 30 times a game against this Golden State team. I mean, Golden State's going to have a lot of ball movement, and Jokic really going to have to grind them out and just try to get some guys out of the game. And all the role players for the Nuggets, too. You're asking like second-round pick Bones Highland to knock down a couple threes. You're asking Will Barton to possibly be your second-best offensive player because when he's hot, Barton's very reliable on shooting the deep ball. And then you have like 35-year-old Jeff Green, like 35-year-old Jeff Green. Jeff Green was one of the role players for the 2018 Cavs team, and you need this level of Jeff Green to play like the Cavs Jeff Green for Denver to really have a chance. I mean, Jokic will have to average like 36, 15, and 8 this series, to be honest, if Denver's going to really win. And I don't think Denver's going to have enough against a Golden State team. But if Steph Curry comes back, that is, I can see the series being 2-1 Golden State or Denver either way. But if Steph Curry comes back, you're going to have Steph, Klay Thompson, and Andrew Wiggins and Draymond, all those guys. I just don't think like Jokic will have enough pieces to really beat a Golden State team. Because remember, Draymond, Klay, and Steph Curry only played like 11 total minutes this season combined. So Golden State's still trying to get the rhythm back and trying to get their guys healthy. But whenever Steph can play, even if Steph Curry's at like 65%, if he can still knock down threes and just get hot at certain stretches, and you have Klay Thompson getting super hot lately. Klay Thompson's been absolutely balling. His last 5 games average over 31. So Klay Thompson, he's looking like his former self. He's slowly getting back into his rhythm right now. And if Klay Thompson gets hot like that, and you have Jordan Poole coming off the bench too, and not to mention even Andrew Wiggins at stretches, Andrew Wiggins is a pretty solid defensive player. And if he can lock up Will Barton like that, I just think that it's just troubling for the Denver Nuggets. Even as good as Nikola Jokic is, and he will win the MVP, in my opinion, I do think that he's one of the 3 best players in the NBA. I just don't see the Denver Nuggets having enough. Murray and Porter Jr., they got to get healthy. It's just going to be one of those years for Jokic that his team's just not going to be good enough, like competing in the playoffs. It's kind of like Kobe's 06 season when his Lakers were playing against the Phoenix Suns, who was such a way better team, when Kobe had just guys that were borderline NBA players like on his team like that, and they even took that Phoenix Suns team to 7. I do see Jokic playing amazing against Golden State and doing all he can, but eventually I'm going to have to go with Golden State in 7 over Denver. So I do think that Steph Curry, he is going to come back probably, if not game 1 and 2. I can see him coming back 3 and 4. Golden State knows how valuable he is, and Golden State knows the implications just to have Steph Curry and the Warriors. If they could win a first-round series, there could be some momentum shifting. I just see the Dubs just being a healthier team if they have all their pieces back. Denver, in my opinion, they got to have to wait till everybody gets healthy. But it is sensational that Jokic is able to carry this team. This team also lost Jeremy Graham 3 years ago, 2 seasons ago, in the bubble because Grant wanted more money and the team elected to sign MPJ to a max contract. So Jeremy Grant just walked away for nothing. Imagine if the Denver Nuggets from the 2020 bubble year, if Murray, Jeremy Grant, and MPJ were playing all healthy right now, all on Denver with Jokic, I think they would win it all. But unfortunately, it's it's not looking good for Jokic in the playoffs with his weak supporting cast. The 4-5 matchup, the Dallas Mavericks against the Utah Jazz. Well, Luka Doncic strained his calf. That injury could be very significant. No real updates yet. It's no timetable for Luka's return. Hopefully, Luka can be okay. That's just super unfortunate and unlucky timing for Dallas. Luka was having a borderline MVP season after getting a slow start. Dallas has been one of the best teams in the NBA the second half of the season, especially since they got rid of Porzingis. But if Doncic is even like 80% in this series, I do think Dallas can beat Utah. If Luka's absolutely like if Luka was 80%, I think they would still beat the Jazz. If he was 100%, there's no doubt in my mind that they would beat Utah. The lineup of Doncic running the point forward spot, like with Jalen Brunson, Reggie Bullock, a three-point shooter, Dorian Finney-Smith, great on D, Dwight Powell coming back from that Achilles injury, looking good, and then you got Spencer Dinwiddie off the bench, who plays very well as a backup. He knows how to control the tempo, and he also knows how to draw those ticky-tack fouls and knock down shots and clutch, especially late games. Davis Bertans, he's gonna have to hit some shots. He's been trash after signing that fat contract. Maxi Kleba and Josh Green, they don't even have Tim Hardaway Jr., who's been out since the All-Star break, since January 25th, that is. So the Jazz and Mavs, a 2-2 series. Utah is just an absolute disaster. There were those rumors about Quinn Snyder potentially going to the Lakers. Look like that's not going to happen anymore since how the Lakers treated Frank Vogel 2 minutes after the season ended. You're gone. So I don't think Quinn likes that too much. The Jazz, though, but Utah, it seems like the Gobert Mitchell era, people are getting sick of them now. I mean, they had their chances, they had their runs year after year after year, plenty of playoff exits, like 4-7 in their last 11 games. That's not championship caliber. I do think the Jazz already peaked last season, last regular season, when they had the best record in the NBA. It seemed like they might have had a chance to win the championship, but Tyus Lue absolutely exposed Gobert in the playoffs. Gobert can't guard perimeter guys, and a lot of teams are just going to take advantage of that. And they blow multiple leads this season. They lost to the Lakers a couple times, and they blown those leads. How embarrassing is that? And Rudy Gobert, like, they just abused him, like, on the switch. And Gobert, Quinn Snyder's gonna have to make a decision whether he plays Gobert late in games when guys are just gonna try to abuse him out the perimeter. If you can just have Gobert stay out the perimeter, and Dallas is a grinded out team. Like, Gobert might have done some good work against Doncic in the regular season, like locking up Doncic a few possessions, but Luka is just so savvy, and he's so patient and poised, and he always got to make the right play. I trust Luka Doncic way more than I trust anyone on Utah. Donovan Mitchell, also a heat check guy. In past postseasons, Mitchell's got to have to take like 30 shots a game. He's got to be inefficient those nights because Utah doesn't really have a reliable secondary scorer. Like, their second best scorer is like Bogdanovic. He's like in his mid-30s, I believe. So he's getting up there with age. Jordan Clarkson's a heat check guy. He's on and off. He's either hit or miss. One night, Jordan Clarkson can go 3 of 20, or he can go 10 of 20 and be hot. You just don't know what you're going to get from him. And Mike Conley, I just think he's too old and way past his prime. Royce O'Neal is who he is. He can't really knock down shots. Not a good shooter. I just think Dallas, with the playmaking of Doncic, Jalen Brunson being a good player. I do think Jalen Brunson at this stage of his career is better than Mike Conley right now, especially how he controls the tempo and just wear guys down. Jalen Brunson's a pretty big point guard. He's got a good body to post up and wear other guys down. He can even back down Mitchell at some points too. And Dinwiddie, he's very reliable as a playmaker. They both fit well with Luka Doncic. And Jason Kidd, just having Dallas play a slow-paced offensive style, and it's really their defense that can hold down a lot of teams. I just believe that offensively, Luka Doncic is such a better player than Donovan Mitchell. He's going to make the right passes. And D. Mitch, he's going to have to chuck up a lot of shots. I just don't see the Jazz having good body language this season. They've blown way too many leads at this point. And Donovan Mitchell, I feel like he's kind of peaked in a way. Who knows how much better he will be? Luka Doncic has been playing like a top 3 player in the second half of the season. And despite his injury, who knows if he's gonna be like fully healthy to play. Even if Doncic is 70%, I'm picking Dallas to beat Utah this series with all the rumors and distractions about Mitchell and Gobert back and forth. Rumors that Mitchell might not like to be in Utah for long term. Gobert's questionable playoff ability on D out the perimeter. I just think Dallas is better than Utah right now, and the Mavs are very hungry. Luka Doncic getting bashed like, oh, Luka overrated. Like, why people hate on Luka Doncic? Because he hasn't won a playoff series. Like, give me a break. I mean, Luka Doncic, his first 2 seasons, his playoff average points per game right now is #1 all time. He's averaging 34 a game in the postseason. And the reason why he lost in the playoffs, there's so many loaded teams in the West. Who can criticize a guy to carry his team, average 35 a game, lose to Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, a top 5 player in the game in Kawhi, and a borderline superstar in Paul George, if Luka's playing by himself? That's really not fair. And people like to say, like, oh, Trae Young, oh, he made the conference finals. Oh, Trae Young was playing guys like the stinky New York Knicks with Julius No-Handle Randle, and he's playing Ben who's scared to shoot Simmons. That's why Trae Young was able to win those series. Luka's playing Kawhi Leonard, who's a superstar and a 2-time Finals MVP, plus a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. And Luka still averaged 35 on that team and nearly beat the Clippers last season. They nearly beat them. Well, but Ty Lue is just a better coach. I do think that if Doc Rivers was the Clipper coach last season, Luka and the Mavs would have beaten those Clippers if it wasn't for Ty Lue's coaching. I strongly believe that. So there's no knock on Luka Doncic for losing to a Kawhi Leonard and Paul George-led team. It's just really not fair. Luka's been sensational in the playoffs. He's proven that he's been unstoppable. Luka literally took Patrick Beverley out the series. Like, Luka was shitting on Patrick Beverley so bad that Patrick Beverley sat on the bench. He was just sitting on the bench. Like, Patrick Beverley was sitting heavily on the bench. He wasn't moving at all. He was just like, Ty Lue was just like, Pat Bev, you stay here, stop chirking, this white boy shitting on you, so too bad, just sit down. And guess what happened? The Clippers won the series because they played Reggie Jackson on offense and they had better ball movement. So because they knew that they couldn't stop Luka, Kawhi Leonard just go off and let Kawhi handle Luka. Kawhi did an excellent job, and Kawhi Leonard was the one that won the Clippers that series because he played like vintage Kawhi Leonard. Luka was vintage Luka Doncic. But what has Kristaps Porzingis done for Dallas? You know what? Kristaps Porzingis, how many games has he played with Washington? Has he made an impact with the Wizards? Kristaps Porzingis, Dallas has been a lot better when Kristaps was traded, I believe, on February 10th. Dallas has a way better record. And you know how many points Kristaps Porzingis averaged last playoffs? 13 freaking points. 13. He was supposed to be Luka's second option. And Kristaps was viewed as a guy who had the max contract. He's supposed to be viewed as one of the guys that was going to be really good, a potential international superstar. Think about that. And he got outplayed by Reggie Jackson last playoffs. He was supposed to be the #2 guy behind Doncic, and he pretty much was terrible in that Clipper series. And now that Porzingis hasn't been missed at all, yeah, Porzingis balling with Washington, but how many games are they winning anyway? He can't stay healthy. I mean, just think about that. Just think about Porzingis. Like, if this was 2018, before Kristaps Porzingis tore his ACL, if this was January of 2018 right now, there was a big debate back then. Which European guy would you rather have for the next, like, 10 years? If this was 2018, Kristaps Porzingis or Nikola Jokic. Remember, Jokic wasn't an all-star yet in 2018. So if you can decide whether to pick Kristaps Porzingis or Nikola Jokic, if this was 4.5 years ago, I guarantee you 90% of you would have said Porzingis, but it's not even a debate right now. Porzingis gotten worse, and Dallas don't miss him. He doesn't fit well with Luka. He can't really post up, and he's very passive, being that size and just shooting way too many threes. Dallas is just a better team defensively, and they mesh better. They got good perimeter guys, and Dinwiddie and Johnson, along with Doncic. Finney-Smith is very physical too. It's a pretty good team. And if Dallas can get a couple extra pieces and Luka can move instead of being too ball dominant, I do think that Luka Doncic and the Mavs can contend for a real championship very, very soon. And I see them beating the Jazz. So for my semifinals prediction, the Dallas Mavericks, like they're the 4 seed. If they're gonna play the Phoenix Suns, which is the 1 seed, like Luka Doncic against Devin Booker, how about that? How about Luka Doncic? He could have been number 1, but they picked DeAndre Ayton. What if Doncic was playing with Booker instead of CP3? Would Phoenix have been as successful? I mean, who knows? CP3's leadership has been on another level the last 2 years. And it would be interesting to see Doncic and Devin Booker going at it. Doncic versus DeAndre Ayton. I do think Dallas is gonna beat Utah to play Phoenix, but ultimately I see the Suns destroying the Mavs in 5 games. I just think Phoenix's ball movement with Monty Williams and all the guys just meshing in and just doing damage. They're just a way better team than Dallas, who relies heavily on Luka to get his points. If Luka's going to be playing 1-on-5 and Phoenix is just going to move the ball. CP3 gets a couple dimes to Ayton. Devin Booker's going to get cooking couple baskets. And Mikal Bridges going to hit corner threes. Drake Crowder's going to hit up a 3 or 2. And he's going to make some hustle plays. Cameron Payne off the bench. And JaVale McGee's also inside interiorly. If he's watched Luka a couple times, I just see the Suns just blowing the game wide open against Dallas in the second half. I just don't see the Mavs containing Phoenix. They're just too loaded. If they would have a series, Phoenix would beat Dallas in 5 games. I don't think it'll be that close. Luka might average over 30 points that series and just totally go off. But it's the Phoenix Suns, man. They can't. Dallas right now, Luka, 23-year-old, as good as Luka Doncic is, he can't beat the Phoenix Suns right now. I see the Suns beating the Mavs, or if they were playing the Jazz, I see Phoenix also shitting on the Jazz in probably 5 games because, I mean, DeAndre Ayton against Rudy Gobert matchup, but Devin Booker has proven he's been better than Donovan Mitchell, and CP3 is still way better than Mike Conley. Phoenix has great shooters in Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson and Crowder, while Royce O'Neal can't make a shot for his life in the important playoff games. And Jordan Clarkson, I just think he'll get locked up by Mikal Bridges if they play. So even the winner of the Dallas and Utah series, they have no chance against the Suns. I see the Suns beating any one of those teams in 5 games, but they would have a better series, I believe, against Dallas. Dallas would be more competitive against Phoenix, but no chance for either one of them, honestly. So it's a pretty easy path for the Suns. On to the Warriors-Grizzlies series, a very interesting one. If you guys missed my earlier takes, I have Golden State beating Denver because Jokic is not going to have enough, in my opinion. And I have Memphis beating either the Clippers or the Timberwolves series. Golden State, Memphis, very, very interesting one. This is about youth experience, former 3-time champions in the Big against guys, one of the youngest teams in the NBA. But if Steph Curry's not 100%, if he's not 100%, I'm going to go with the Memphis Grizzlies beating the Golden State Warriors in the second round. And this is not a hot take, in my opinion. It's absolutely not a hot take because just think about Memphis, everybody getting together. They have the fresh legs. They have 9 guys who can play 25 minutes a game. And there's big boy Steven Adams who sets those hard screens. Someone's going to have to close out and guard guys like Desmond Baines and Dylan Brooks. Memphis playing with a ton of energy and tons of passion. And John Moran, if he's able to stay healthy in that series against Golden State, I mean, nobody on Golden State can guard him. I just feel that Memphis, with their attitude, they have that grit and grind attitude offensively and defensively too. I mean, Steven Adams is a definition of a grit and grind type guy. Like he's always going to be the strongest guy on the court, no matter who's there. And John Moran with his explosiveness, I just believe that the Memphis Grizzlies crowd, they're going to tire out Golden State. Moran's going to get a couple fantastic plays, and Desmond Bain, he's pretty much as good as Klay Thompson right now. We haven't seen enough of Klay Thompson, to be honest. I mean, Klay Thompson is also on and off, and there are games that he struggles. I mean, Desmond Bain's one of the most improved player. He can shoot over 40% from 3. Dylan Brooks can also shoot the 3s as well. DeAnthony Melton, pretty good. And Kyle Anderson, if he can hold his own against Andrew Wiggins. And how about Jared Jackson Jr.? I mean, Draymond's going to have his hands full. Is Draymond really going to deal with Jared Jackson and Steven Adams, like two big, strong guys? Like, Draymond's going to get tired out. And who knows if Draymond's 100%. His back is also his back has been bothering him all season long. So Golden State, I just think because of their injuries and Steph not being 100%, and Memphis is in this hot streak, I just think the Memphis Grizzlies can beat Golden State, and I would say the Grizzlies would beat them in 7 games. I really think so because Golden State, if Steph is not 100% healthy, Klay Thompson's going to have to play 40-plus minutes. I just believe that they're just going to get way too tired as the later games go on, and Memphis is not going to get tired at all. Being a young team, the Memphis Grizzlies team, they can play 2 games on one night and blow those teams out. They're just too young, and they're hungry right now. I just think Memphis, this is a good year for them to really elevate what they got, and Golden State's too banged up, in my opinion. So there's that. I'll respond to some of the comments later. I have seen your comments, like I'm watching. So I have Memphis and I have Phoenix going to the conference finals. The 1 and 2 seed, that will be a really insane series. But the Grizzlies, an amazing, successful season. All good things must come to an end, right? You thought I was gonna be that crazy to really pick them out of the West, the Memphis Grizzlies team. The average age is like what, 24 years old. I have Phoenix beating the Memphis Grizzlies in 5 games. I mean, it's just an easy scenario for the Suns. Like their leadership, I mean, their hunger, Devin Booker and John Morant going at it. They have CP3. I mean, I think it could be a really good series, but I just think Phoenix, they're just too championship. They're focused on getting the title and getting back to the finals. And Memphis, once they get to the conference finals this season, I think they're going to be a little ahead of themselves and they're going to struggle and feel the nerves and the pressure the first couple games. So I do see the Phoenix Suns beating the Memphis Grizzlies in 5 games. I see the Suns beating everybody in 5 in the Western Conference and going to an easy path to the NBA, to be honest. So with that said, you guys want to hear my NBA Finals prediction or what? 41 minutes into the video. So in case you guys missed it, I have Phoenix obviously advancing in the first round. I have Memphis beating either Minnesota or the Clippers. I have Dallas beating Utah, and I have Golden State beating Denver. So 2022 NBA Finals prediction. The Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference against the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks. A rematch of last season's NBA Finals. How about that? Giannis, superstar Antetokounmpo against 38, soon to be 38-year-old CP3. Man, he's getting old. And Devin, 37, my mistake. I think he's going to be 37. And Devin Booker. And this time, it's going to be a very close, exciting series like last season. Very close series. Thank you, Deshaun. I have the numbers mixed up because I've been doing too much research with numbers. So it's going to be an exciting series between the two. But if I have to pick this season's NBA Finals, I just look at the Phoenix Suns and how rejuvenated they are. Like the San Antonio Spurs in 2013, they got humiliated. They were devastated after Ray Allen shot in Game 6. It just sucks the life out of them. But then the next season, they had the best record in the NBA, the best ball movement, one of the best unselfish basketball offensive flow I have ever seen. So the Phoenix Suns kind of resembles this team a little bit. They know what their role is. Everybody, they know how to play their role. They know how to maximize all their strength. Chris Paul, he's not going to take away from anybody. He's going to give the ball to the hot hand when Devin Booker's hot, hitting 5 straight shots, getting his 30-plus. Mikal Bridges getting those backdoor dunks in transition. Mikhal's probably one of the best athletes on that team. They're not very flashy, but they just know how to play good basketball, make the extra pass. Jay Crowder, he's always going to be a plus for those championship teams, and he's going to have to get his team riled up, have some toughness. And the reason why I'm picking the Phoenix Suns to Milwaukee Bucks this season in 7 games, Phoenix had no answer for Giannis last season. Giannis played one of the best basketballs all time in the final series, even though it didn't seem like he was 100% with that ankle or knee injury. Giannis averaged 35 freaking points, and he shot like 17 of 19 from the line in Game 6. That closeout game for 50 points, he was ridiculous. Do I see Giannis having that type of series again? I mean, if he is, we're gonna have to talk about him being on the all-time grade if he performs like that. So Giannis has absolutely figured it out. But because of DeAndre Ayton being very hungry and knowing what it takes to play against someone like Giannis, there's a reason why Phoenix signed and got JaVale McGee. JaVale McGee, even though people laughed at him like a meme, he's one of the best role players. He's going to catch alley-oops. And the reason why last year Giannis was shitting on the Suns when Ayton got in foul trouble, the injured Dario Saric, I believe, was it game 1 or game 2? He blew out his knee, and that ended up being a devastating loss for the Suns because Frank Kaminsky was just too small for the Bucks front line. And now Phoenix have JaVale McGee. And even if McGee gets into foul trouble too, they still have 28-year-old Bismack Biyombo. How old is Bismack Biyombo? He looks like he's in his mid-30s, but I'm just speculating. Bismack Biyombo, he's rejuvenated himself playing with Phoenix. And I just think that with Chris Paul and being well-rested, Phoenix having an easy coast in the Western Conference, Golden State's not healthy. I mean, CP3 was really wear down last season. I mean, it took a toll on him, the physical Drew Holiday. CP looked really good in the first 2 games, but he significantly slowed down games 3, 4, and 5. And that's why Drew Holiday was able to hold CP3 down last playoffs. So Drew, I don't think Holiday's going to have a good offensive series against the Suns because he was doing so much on defense, from chasing around CP3 to Devin Booker. That's why he has such poor shooting games. He was tired offensively. So I expect a series like that from Holiday if he was to play the Suns. But the difference maker is Devin Booker. If you guys watch Phoenix this season, Devin Booker has a nastiness into him. Like, how many times have you seen Devin Booker this season just getting hyped, dunked on the Timberwolves, and play with a certain level of swagger? Like, he knows that he's the shit. He knows that he's a superstar. He knows that you can't fuck with him. So D-Book has had a level of aggression this season. He has some nastiness that we haven't seen from the previous year and even previous years. I mean, he was known for complaining to the refs a lot, but D-Book has been playing ball and he's been just hot and he's been dominating. And when Drew Holiday literally picked his pockets in the last seconds of Game 5, that set Giannis for the alley-oop. Devin Booker's a tougher basketball player and much improved defensively from last season, which is why I think he's going to be the X factor. And I do believe that he's going to be better because he knows that there's going to be a lot of pressure. Phoenix knows that this could be their last season winning it all with DeAndre Ayton not getting the extension. I do think that the Suns will be probably okay with letting Ayton walk away before trying to win a championship. That's why the Suns have a lot of urgency to try to win this 2022 title, and CP3 can be solidified as forever an NBA champion. But it's going to be a lot of work to do. A lot of work. It's not going to be easy against the Bucks. I do think that Giannis is going to have a sensational series. I don't think that Drew Holiday is going to be efficient. Chris Middleton's a hit or miss. I mean, Chris Middleton proved last season, but I just don't think Middleton's one of those type of guys that's just going to dominate 2 years in a row and play like a superstar at times and scoring 40 multiple times. I just think that Phoenix, with their combination of lethal shooting and all the other guys like Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, right now they're very experienced and they're a year older and much improved in basketball too. And Cameron Payne also going to do his thing off the bench. I just think the Phoenix Suns team, this is their year. 64 wins. I mean, Phoenix is 8 wins better than the second seed Memphis Grizzlies. And I made a video a couple days ago, or a week ago, I should say. I mean, teams that were 8 games ahead of the second best regular season team, they are 9-2 all time in NBA championships. 9-2 all time. So let me repeat that. The best team with the best regular season record, 60-plus win, finishing at least 8 games above the second best regular season team. They are 9-2 when winning the championships. The last 2 times, the only 2 times that they lost, it was the 58 Celtics with Bill Russell, because he got hurt in the finals against Bob Pettis' Lewis Hawks. So the Celtics actually lost that in 6 games. I believe Bill Russell got hurt in Game 3. If Bill Russell wouldn't have gotten hurt, in St. Louis, because they lost in Game 6 by only a point, and Bill Russell tried to play as hard as he can, but he was not that effective. And also, the Celtics in 1973, they won a franchise best 68 games. And John Havlicek, I believe it was Game 3 against the Knicks. I mean, Boston was favored to win the championship that year, but John Havlicek, one of the most durable players all time, dislocated his shoulder, and after dislocating his shoulder, he was just not effective at all. And I believe he missed only one game, but the rest of the series, I mean, his shoulders were shot. And the Knicks, with Walt Frazier and Wallace Reed, they were able to upset the Celtics because of Havlicek's injury. So those were the only two times where the best regular season team by far lost in the playoffs. Which means if the Suns have a big injury, if they have an untimely injury, whether it will be CP3 or Devin Booker or someone like Ayton, a valuable piece. I mean, injuries happen, and it's unfortunate. It's part of the game, especially when you get to high-level playoff basketball where players playing their butts off every single possession. It's just up to them to keep their body in shape and do the workouts and preparations and do all the right things before game and just try to recover. But with that said, Phoenix Suns is my pick for the 2022 NBA champions. So I'm picking the Suns. But the Milwaukee Bucks, they're definitely contenders as well. Hopefully you guys enjoy some of my NBA historical knowledge stuff. Like basketball, for some reason, it just clicks with me. I watch a lot of like NBA Classic growing up. I obviously go up and look on the websites and check the stats and all that, but it just clicks with me. School doesn't click with me. I fail a lot of exams, but NBA, I just love. So right now, I'm just scrolling through the chat. Thank you guys so much for staying with me here. Appreciate all your support. It feels really good just to talk ball. The play-in is tomorrow. No NBA today. According to Stack Moose, the Pelicans 13-10 since the All-Star break. 13-10, and what? They're like 5 games ahead of the Lakers or something like that. I'd rather deal with week 2000s and 2010s East where it was like 3 below 500 making the playoffs than the play-in. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Like the play-in, you don't want to watch those like teams like the Pelicans and Spurs play in the play-in. That's not really good basketball. Those two teams have no chance winning the titles. Like the teams that don't make the playoffs in the first place, if they have like literally zero chance, if they're not good enough to win the championship, like San Antonio, why the hell are they getting a chance to play in the playoffs? It is ridiculous. All these games. Give me a break. My current pronunciation is an absolute travesty. Well, English is not my first language. I'm not perfect, but as long as you understand me, it's all cool. Will the Kings ever make the playoffs again? Maybe when they relocate to a team like Seattle or Vegas, we can start talking, but their owner's a joke. He's been terrible. Yep, 2014 Spurs, I definitely see that. They have a good leader, CP3, a lot of great shooters, ball movement, and a great coach in Monty Williams. Were we even alive when the Kings finally made the playoffs? Last time the Kings made the playoffs, okay, it was 2006. 2006, when they made the playoffs, they still had Kenyon Martin, Mike Bibby. I believe Kenny Thomas was on that team too. And they actually took Ron Artest was on that team. Ron Artest. So they actually took the first place San Antonio Spurs to 6 games. It was a pretty competitive 6-game series. San Antonio got exhausted over that. And I believe the final score was in game 3. If anyone can check, it's 94-93 or 104-103. Kevin Martin hit a game winner. That was one of the best Sacramento Kings moments the last 20 years. So I'm pretty right on that one. I remember that like yesterday. So the Kings also, they won 44 games that year. I believe they won 44 in 06. I guarantee you I'm almost correct if I'm not. I just know my NBA like this. Bucks or Nets? I have the Bucks. I mean, I just don't think the Nets defense is good enough, especially Ben Simmons. You don't know what he's going to give you. That's too bad for Brooklyn. 14 Suns also missed with 48 wins, and also 71 and 72 Suns back when only 4 teams per conference. Good historic knowledge. The Phoenix Suns, 1976. How about that team getting to the final, shocking everybody? Paul Westphal, Garfield Hurd, all guys. The 93 Suns with Barkley and Kevin Johnson, Dan Marley and Richard Dumas. Gerald Green, he was good in 2K14. Wasn't he like a legend there? Like I haven't played 2K in like over a decade because it just messed up my eye. Playing too many video games as a kid, so that wasn't very healthy. Shannon Brown when he was past his prime. Jazz have a bunch of ball hawks. I don't trust Utah. I mean, yeah, Donovan Mitchell, like his brand of basketball, just chucking up shots. He's kind of like a better version of Westbrook in a way when he jacks up shots, but that's not going to lead to success or winning at all. Please call a team a travesty. The Lakers are an absolute travesty. They're the biggest one so far. Who's going to be the first playoff travesty? Reading some of these comments. Julius No Handle Randall. Spencer Dinwiddie started balling as he got out of Washington. That franchise has just been garbage. You guys know that the Washington Bullets haven't won 50 games since 1979. That was the last time they won 50 freaking games. And no NBA players were born at the time, the last time the Washington franchise won 50 games. So that's a disaster. Udonis Haslam wasn't even born yet, and he's like 60 years old. I'm lagging. Hopefully not. You guys hear? I love the comments. I love the interactions. Lakers choose Gasol over McGee. Oh yeah. Who else won't the Lakers choose? I mean, half the league seems like they're gonna play with the Lakers, and a lot of those players just gonna fail out and just go elsewhere. So we're like what 20 hours until the first play-in. It's gonna be exciting, but the Nets are gonna shit on the Cavs, in my opinion. Thank you for the compliments. Thank you. The Lakers were fighting for a play-in spot. Like, how the hell are you 15 games under 500 and you're playing for a play-in spot? That's embarrassing. I mean, the fact that the Lakers can't even go 500 was embarrassing. Like, how terrible was that? I mean, there can literally be like an hour video, like Russell Westbrook lowlights this season was Anthony Bennett's whole career. Like, you look at how Russell Westbrook brick shots and you look at how Anthony Bennett brick shots. You can't even tell the difference if you're not wearing your glasses. So that's hilarious. I want a team in Montreal. I want to watch a live game. I mean, you guys have hockey. Hockey's a big sport in Canada. You were like 6 and you're going to be 23 in July. Okay. 23 in July. So you were born in 90. Deshaun was born in 1999 from Philly. Shout out to Deshaun Marshall. In 99, Allen Iverson won the scoring title, averaging 26.8 points a game. I just know all this stuff in the top of my head. I'm not looking anything up. Hoping the Nets lose in the early rounds. I don't. I mean, I think them and Boston's going to go 7. They're not going to lose in the play-in game. I mean, Kevin Durant and Kyrie, they're too good to lose in a play-in game. I hope nobody bets against them against Cleveland, because if Cleveland beats them, it's not going to be good for Brooklyn. Do I think Zion's coming back? Maybe if he loses like 5 pounds. Who knows? I done an Eastern Conference prediction, Dennis. I posted that video maybe about like 6 or 7 hours ago. You can watch it on my previous YouTube channel, or I'll attach it to this one after I'm done on the link above. Will the Blazers keep or trade Dame? I mean, Dame Lillard's also got to wake up from reality. Like, that team is absolutely tanking. Like, if Dame wants to stay loyal and be committed to one franchise and retire ringless, I mean, that city's gonna love him forever. As much they're probably gonna love him if Dame stays in Portland for another 5, 6 years until he retires. But if he wins no ring, the city's gonna embrace him, like kind of how Philly embraces Iverson. I mean, AI and Dame Lillard, they have that tough attitude that they play all out and they just represent what it's like to be a true baller, a true professional that doesn't cheat the game, that's gonna go out and just compete at the highest levels. Even if they miss like 10 straight shots, they're just gonna keep coming at you and drop 60. And that's why I love Dame Lillard a lot, and I appreciate what he's done with the game. Like, I'd rather have Dame Lillard on my team than over a head case like Kyrie Irving. Even if you think that Kyrie's more talented, Dame Lillard is just more reliable and he's a loyal dude. Are you gonna make a video on the first team to make the playoffs since 2000, or you done one of the best teams not playoffs? I can tell you some of the worst teams that make the playoffs in the 2000s. The 36 and 46 Celtic team in 2004. They made the fucking playoffs and they were so bad that they got swept by the Indiana Pacers 4-0, and they lost every single one of those games by double digits. Like, how the hell you win 36 games and you made the postseason? And that was LeBron's rookie season. LeBron's Cavs won 35 games, and they kind of struggled at the end of the season, because if LeBron's rookie year, if he won just 2 more games, he would have been able to make the playoffs as a rookie, but they would have gotten destroyed by Indiana anyway. So there's that. Yeah, Jokic is having one of these MVP wasted so sad. I mean, his MVP season kind of reminds me like Moses Malone when he was on Houston. Like Malone, I mean, his team was like under 500 when he was like the 6th seed, and then he got the 4th seed that one year when he won the MVP. Moses Malone's a 3-time MVP winner, and he was just such a beast. He was the best player in the NBA for a couple years. Is Giannis a better player than Will or Bill Russell? I mean, talent-wise, Will Chamberlain was unbelievable. I wouldn't put Giannis in that discussion yet. I mean, Will Chamberlain's stats are obviously uncomparable, and Giannis's leadership kind of resembles like Bill Russell in a way. I would say he's a better leader than Will, and I think Will cared a lot about his stats earlier, and Will didn't start playing real team basketball until he got much older in his career. But Giannis, as good as he is, no one's ever going to win as many championships as Russell. But Giannis might have as much MVPs as Russell and Will. Each of them have 4. I think Giannis is comparable to Will with how many years Will has. Yeah, Giannis, he's the most dominant player since Shaq in terms of a physicality standpoint and an athletic standpoint too. Giannis is unbelievable. He has a chance to be really one of the best, and Giannis is in the lead so far. So you talk about the NBA from the start of this decade in the early 2020. Like, if we go back to January of 2020 until right now, Giannis has been the best player in the 2020s decade without question. Right now, it's pretty much clear. Will Steph Curry finish top 10 in his career? I'm gonna say no, he's not. Like, you look at these guys that are around like the 6 to 10 range, you can have them in any order. I don't see Steph Curry ever being better than Kobe, Tim Duncan, Shaq, and a lot of those guys like say that they're not, like, they're barely top 10. So people have that. I don't think Steph will be better than top 10. I don't think he's better than Durant. Weren't the Rockets the 6th seed when they made the NBA Finals in '81? I believe they were. I believe they were. Yeah, they were 40 and 42. I want to say, and they made the finals because the Lakers choked in the conference finals, I believe, or the first round they choked. They choked. Magic choked actually in '81, but Magic was hurt. Giannis will surpass LeBron. I don't think so. LeBron's unreal. Would you rather have Ori or Barkley's career? Of course, I'd rather have Barkley's career. Even though Barkley never won a championship, he was a top 3 player in his prime. Robert Ori maybe was like a top 60 player or maybe top 40, but Charles Barkley was almost a 2-time MVP. I mean, Charles Barkley he won MVP over the greatest player all time in Michael Jordan. At least he can brag about that, at least. And he went toe to toe with Michael Jordan in some of those finals games. So if you're a superstar basketball player like that, a top 25 guy, like, would you rather be a top 25 player all time or a top 500 player all time? That's your choice. Already was underrated, but he was also on some good teams. But he was a role player. Role player. Barkley's the man. I got MJ, Kareem, Magic, Bird, Duncan, Will, Russell, Hakeem, Shaq, LeBron, Wes, and Oscar over Curry. I also have Kevin Durant over Curry as well. Yeah, the Rockets were the 6th seed. Good looks. Barkley, you crazy, man? I'm not crazy. Of course, I'd rather have Charles Barkley's career. Ori literally was one of the best defensive players. But Charles Barkley's a way better. Robert Ori, what if Robert Ori was drafted to the Sacramento Kings and stayed there for 5 years? No one would have ever heard of him. Yeah, you rather have 7 rings. As a role player, yeah, it's debatable, but top 25 basketball player all time. Think about how many players has played in the NBA out of all the thousands, and you end up being in the top 0.1 percentile, being a top 25 basketball player all time. I mean, you're literally at the one of the best at doing a specific job. I mean, not many people can say that. LeBron can retire with 40K points, 11K rebounds, 11K assists. That is pretty insane. Bird is better than Magic. I think Bird is better, but Magic is greater because of the accomplishments. But I love both Bird and Magic. They're really good for the NBA. Wouldn't be where they are today without those two. Who's the most underrated basketball this season? Memphis Grizzlies. I don't think they're underrated anymore. Now everyone's paying attention to them. They've been pretty good, but KD never choked the three. What did you eat for dinner? 2 slices of pepperoni pizza. There's players with no rings that are better than Ori. Oh, of course, of course. I mean, there's a lot of other guys that won plenty of rings too. Steve Kerr has like 5 rings. He has 5 rings. So would you rather have Steve Kerr's basketball career or Charles Barkley's? I mean, Steve Kerr wasn't as good as Ori, but he was on the right teams at the right time. So there's that. LeBron won't never blow a 3-1 lead. Nah, he won't. LeBron's too good for that. So, wow, it's 1 a.m. already on the East Coast. It's 1 a.m. So I know it's getting late. Some of you guys might have school or work tomorrow. So, in case you guys join it late, I have the Phoenix Suns coming out of the West and I have the Bucks coming out of the East. And I picked the Suns to win it in 7 games. But we'll see for the play in. We'll see for the play in and see what the Nets and Cavs bring for us tomorrow night. So, I'll be watching that one. With that said, I thank you guys for staying here with me tonight, just listening to my basketball predictions. I truly, truly appreciate your support and hope you guys get a good night's sleep and watch some good basketball tomorrow. And I'll see you next time with that. Thank you so much for interacting with the chat as well. You guys been awesome. So with that said, I'm out. Have a good night, everybody. Peace.